shows go live. We are, oops, that, and back to there. Launch it. Three-minute intro. 3-minute intro. Man, look at that flat horizon, so nice. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another stream. I am your host, Killian Weeks, Book of Killian. That's me. Whether you're joining us on YouTube or you're joining us on the Discords, here with our friend Jackie, we're hanging out on my little server on the Discords. Decided to name this Discord Sons of God. I think it's time that somebody made that statement, because we are all sons and daughters of the Creator. Sons and daughters of God. Thanks for joining us. Gonna be getting into this share now. Today's show is the after show, the reshare of my prior presentation on the Passion of Yeshua ben Joseph. Now, I'm not gonna be going through all the videos that I contain within. If you want to see the videos, you can check out the prior show. But what I am going to talk about today are a few little tidbits that I failed to mention in the first airing. So I know Jackie's here as well, and yeah, if anything, I'm just going to have a little chat and hang out for a little bit, throw this ball around. But again, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate you as always. Let me double check on free. Let me flip to there, and right on. All right, sweet. We're good to go. So, the Passion of Yeshua ben Joseph, the original content, 33 slides, 3 bonus slides, 11 video clips ranging from 1 to 3 minutes in length. I'm gonna air the intro because it's my absolute favorite. Oh, gotta turn up the volume. Haha.
Presenting with acute blood loss and hypovolemic shock. History obtained from eyewitnesses on the scene. Patient was reported.
I'm gonna back it up because it's an epic intro. Let's go.
33-year-old male from a city of Nazareth with no past medical history presenting with acute blood loss and hypovolemic shock. History obtained from eyewitnesses on the scene. Patient was reportedly beaten several times, flogged on his back 39 times with a metal whip, and maintained without any food or water intake for approximately 12 hours. Prior to arrival, a crown of thorns was placed on his head with subsequent scalp hemorrhage. On examination, patient is hypotensive with a thready pulse. Patient is in severe distress and agony. Pain score 10 out of 10. He is pale, weak, and dehydrated. Mouth and tongue are extremely dry. Cardiopulmonary examination, notable for rapid breathing with deep labored inspirations. Skin examination, notable for multiple deep skin lacerations with active bleeding along the face, torso, and back. Fully penetrating puncture wounds are noted in patient's bilateral wrists and feet. Assessment: 33-year-old male admitted with mixed cardiogenic and hemorrhagic shock in the setting of acute blood loss, anemia due to torture complicated with severe dehydration and extreme pain. Jesus of Nazareth is dying. No medical treatment available at this time.
Love that intro. So the Passion of Jesus started off with his prayer in the garden from 9 to midnight. Now, I want to take an opportunity to go through where this is. So this is Gethsemane right here. So they would have walked this distance along here and then taken to Anna's house at 1 a.m. after the prayer in Gethsemane, or they're praying in Gethsemane. Now, I believe that's where, after the prayers, the soldiers came. Judas identified Jesus with the kiss, and that's where he was bleeding profusely. We'll talk about that. Well, we talked about that prior. But the main thing with this outlay is just the town of Jerusalem, where he would have walked, how much he would have walked, 5 to 6 kilometers in total. Now, again, this being the original spot, the garden, walking along here, and then going over to, Caiaphas' house from 2 to 5, and he would have went between Caiaphas and Pontius Pilate here, and then across town, and then ultimately concluding over here at Golgotha, which is the place of the skull, and Jesus' tomb where he was laid to rest. Bear with me here. Yeah. And then Antifa's house being here. And then return to Pilate here. Yeah, so it's pretty much, wow, all outlined. So the upper room being number 1. So actually, yeah, this is in chronological order. I apologize for that. Initially, when I engaged with this, I was taking it in and not realizing that was actually, I thought it was out of order, but it's not. So spot 1 would be the upper room. And then going to the southern gate, spot 2. Then over to where's spot 3? Come on. Where's spot 3? Well, here's spot 4. Then 5.
You passed it. Right underneath the 5. Right under the 6.
Oh yeah, there it is. There you go. Thanks, homie. Yeah, so 3 and then 4. So there's the garden. And then Jesus' path. I'm trying to read this sideways. Anyways, 5, 6 to the valley gate. And then through the valley. 7, and then Caiaphas' house, 8, Pilate, Herod's, back to Pilate, then to the entrance of Jerusalem, then to the Golgotha, place of the skull, and then his tomb, 14. Wow. Yeah, it's 5 to 6 kilometers in total. Just consulting with my notes. Bear with me, guys. All right, so the map of Jerusalem, we just revisited it. Sorry for the initial unsure intro, but I'm glad we got the realization sorted that it was actually in chronological order, which is awesome. Oops, dang it. This is where after, so yeah, his prayers in the garden as he was praying. He's praying so earnestly that he began to sweat blood. Then the soldiers and Judas showed up. Judas betrayed him with the kiss. And this being the kiss itself, or a cartoon of it. But Luke 22:44 states, in his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground. And again, the interesting thing is like the skin being the biggest organ in the body, it's bleeding, and then you go and kiss it. It's like an open wound at that point. It's crowning the thorns, we chatted about prior. An epic photo. Now, the scourging of the pillar, there's a couple of things, or there's one main thing that pops up for me with this is that I didn't really talk about before. The flagrum, sorry, has 3 lead balls, and then there's rumors of there being small pieces of bone, things of that nature, things that would like tear the skin. And I wonder about that because the lead balls themselves, when they actually hit the body, engage with the body, they cause bruising to the degree of like apparently 3rd degree burns. So like the bruising that they cover, the bruising that they cause, the amount of blood that's unleashed beneath the subcutaneous layer, beneath the skin layer, is the equivalent of a 3rd degree burn. Now, the thing that I'm really wondering about is like, if in fact they would have wanted the skin to tear. And that's, I mean, Jackie, I don't know what you think about that, but I think about the scourging of the pillar. I wonder if in fact the main purpose of the scourging was literally just to beat the back, cause bruising, so that ultimately when they ended up riding, say this politely, of course, or respectfully, riding the wood would cause further irritation. I'm unsure
It
if
makes sense to me. I mean, they say they wanted this, these crucifixions to be the most painful thing anyone's ever felt, and I think anything that they could do to make it more painful was just, sad to say, better for them, right? The more pain you're in, better for them, right? So,
and I have I'm gonna further play out this theory with you further as once we get to the cross, but that's just my initial thought. I'm thinking, do the Romans want to actually hand out 39 lashes, where they're gonna ultimately get, well, I don't even know if they really care about getting covered in blood, but I'm just wondering if they'd want to tear the skin at that point, because he's got a long way to go. Anyways, it's more just a thought. Thanks for exploring that with me. Appreciate it. So at this point in time, the status update, he has blood loss, 1 to 2 liters approximately. Now, if you're thinking he was bleeding in the garden, there was blood loss there. And then scourging at the pillar, to me, whether or not the blood was released from the skin, the blood was still lost. It's still within the body, but it's been released. The blood's been released as underneath the skin, and it's would be showing up as a bruise at that point. At least that's how I would understand it to be. I don't know if that constitutes as quote blood loss, but it's definitely, the blood's no longer in the muscle, it's now escaping out of the muscle. So I think there would be some trauma there, of course, or there would be a lot of trauma there, of course, especially if we're talking to the degree of third-degree burns. Dehydrated, no food or water 12 to 20 hours prior. No sleep the night before, Thursday after the Last Supper, which obviously he was praying in the garden, and then he got, basically after the prayer in the garden, he was bleeding. Judas kissed him, he was taken into custody, and off he went. Okay, so Dr. Haney with the crucifixion, he gave his objective point on that. I don't think I'm going to take this video in. No, we're not doing videos. We'll skip past that. Bear with me. Hold on a second here. Okay. Yeah, we're good. So, the whole idea of how does the body get affixed to the cross, this was the first nailing, the nailing of the wrists. And as we were talking about last time, this was ultimately like the hanging point, how the body would hang on the cross. And as you can see, it's almost like perfect design. The wrist of the human body is comprised of, like, I think it's 7 to 8 bones. You can see them there in the picture, and it has that space for that nail to pass through, without creating any real issues. What's interesting is the amount of burning that would be caused. Oh my gosh, burning! The medial nerve and the ulnar nerve, the outer nerves of the hand, where you have that nail going through that spot. One thing that I didn't touch on that I wanted to mention, this is from personal testimony. In grade, actually no, I'm not going to go there just yet. When they're affixing you to the cross, they bound your wrists with ropes, and the wood itself has preset holes. They don't nail new holes every time. These need to be fresh holes so they don't tear or give or anything like that. So they're fresh, or they're piloted holes, so they're ready to go in. The nails are ready to go into those holes. Now, if your wrist doesn't make it to the spot where it needs to get to, they make you fit. So they've given you the myrrh, wine, gall mixture, so you can't fight the soldiers. You're basically not drunk, but you're definitely in a relaxed state. You're not able to fight the soldiers. Your muscles are relaxed. And when you're in a position of compromise, being stretched like that, it doesn't take much for the shoulder to give. That's one of the things apparently that showed in the Shroud of Turin, that there was some trauma to the left shoulder, but also in scripture it's mentioned that my bones are out of joint. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about right quick is in grade 12 in high school, I got had an injury in basketball, dislocated my shoulder. And one of the things I remember I'll never forget is how my body felt. My blood pressure dropped. My whole team was just sitting there staring at me because they're like, oh my, I didn't look good. Pale, and I couldn't stop sweating. It was just sweat dripping off dripping off my nose. I was just looking down, dripping sweat. And again, people are just like, obviously my team's staring at me, looking at me. Eventually got picked up, taken to the hospital, shoulder was reset. Now it's come out of place like probably 6 or 7 times at this point. Not going to be doing surgery or anything like that. But what I wanted to really mention is, with the shoulder being out of place and then having a nail fired into your wrist, irritating the ulnar and the medial nerves. It's mind-boggling. The pain from the dislocated shoulder, again, when I experienced it, was out of this world. It was not out of this world, but it was beyond my comprehension, because like your body basically panics because something's out of place, and it didn't get reset until I went to the hospital. They put me to sleep, and then they were able to put it back into place when the muscles are not working. Because when you're trying to reset a muscle, or sorry, trying to reset a bone or try to reset something in place, the body fights you the whole way. The muscles contract because it's panicking, and so on and so forth. So again, you can imagine from a standpoint of his shoulder gets pulled out of place, panic, fear, says he's already in a place of disarray, and then again this thing gets fired into his wrist. Nuts. It's crazy. Anyways, sorry,
I broke both my wrists at the same time,
bro.
So yeah, I know that I know that feeling, where you have no control over your limb. You can no longer feel it. It's like what's going on in your body is trying to comprehend. Your brain is like, I can't move that. Why not? Like
You can't figure it out. You go into a
yeah.
state of panic, fear. Wow. Thanks for sharing. Holy. Okay.
So when I see this nailing of the wrist thing, every time it makes me cringe, because I can remember, like the snap,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh. Every time I see it and watching that nail go through the wrist, I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah. That I can't imagine. How'd you do both? How'd you do them at the same time?
I fell in a gym class in when I was 16. Those stupid. We had a thing called presidential fitness tests
Okay.
that we used to have to do, where they, check everybody's fitness level. So let's just say I don't have any agility.
Gotcha. Oh, it's funny. I just landed on the check slide, and you said it's a health check. That's funny. So I'm just going to conclude with this slide here, the piercing. But what I really want to focus on right off initially is the picture of Jesus on the cross. He's got the 2 points that he's hung from, which are his wrists, which we identified in the prior conversation or prior slides. And then obviously he's pinned at his feet. Now, the whole idea that it's presented is like he's able to, or when you're on the cross, you're in a compromised position with your arms outstretched. Your body struggles to maintain breath because, again, it's in a compromised position, hands are outstretched. And it's not so much from a standpoint of inhaling, it's the issue of exhaling effectively so that you can get to the next breath. And from this, what they end up doing is pulling up with their hands, or sorry, pushing up with their feet, and then basically sliding up and down the cross beam, not the beam, the post itself, in order to get breath. The thing that I was thinking about when we were talking about the scourging at the pillar prior was this post that he was affixed to was splintered. They don't smoothen it or anything like that. And again, like we talked about in the prior episode, like that post could be covered in human feces, blood, all kinds of stuff, whatever. But the biggest thing that I want to outline is the splintering. Now, we all know what it's like to get a blood blister on our finger, right? Or you've squeezed it or something and blood's come to the surface, but the blood is trapped within the skin. We know the blood is there. We can see it, we can identify it, and it's even purple at times. Well, it is purple because it hasn't been exposed to the air yet to turn red. So when blood is within the body, it hits that purple color. Now, if we choose to pop that blister, we know the blood will come out. It'll be red. Again, going back to the scourging of the pillar, this man gets his back beat. He has, let's say, these 3rd degree blisters, 3rd degree burn equivalencies on his back. And now he's gonna go ride that post in order to breathe. Could you imagine popping blood blisters on your back with splinters that splinters on a piece of wood that you've been nailed to? I was thinking about this the other day, and it really set my mental for a go. I was like, wow.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's
That's all
just,
I can say.
Yeah, it's kind of
Freaking ouch.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, that's it for now. That's all I really wanted to share. Those points. Few things for consideration, of course. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out as always. Have a wonderful, blessed evening. I'm going to shut down my share on YouTube. Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate you hanging out as always.